Whenever you're ready.
Everyone in here has something that they're passionate about, whether it's school or art or clubs or like sports. That's what my passion is cheerleading. And it's really hard. I don't know if anyone can imagine, but being so passionate about something and then having everyone around you tell you that what you do is stupid and that it pretty much means nothing. And I understand if you don't do it yourself, you don't really understand it, but there are many athletic aspects to competitive cheerleading, and it's time that it gets the recognition that it deserves. So let me just take you through a day in the life of a cheerleader. So, you have practice every day after school, from 4:30 till like 6 or 6:30. And you have to be there at 4:15 because if you're late to practice and the mats aren't rolled out and your shoes aren't put on, you run laps. You have to stretch, which is not just the typical, like, okay, touch your toes. No, you sit in a split for probably 3 minutes and someone pushes down on your back. So it's painful. It's painful. Stretching isn't like to make you feel better, it hurts. And then you start jumps. Jumping is not easy. And I know, okay, jumping's not easy, what are you talking about? Jumping is jumping, everyone can do it. All right, try to touch your toes and jump at the same time. Now try to do that 12 times in a row without making it look like you're dying, pretty much. It's painful, it's very, very hard. And then if the whole team doesn't land in synchronization, then you keep doing it until everyone lands together and it looks clean and it looks good. After jumping, it's time to stunt. Stunting is a whole other world no one knows about. You are literally lifting people on your hands above your head. Now, I don't know if you've ever lifted weights, but you don't typically lift the same amount of weight as your own body. That's not really like something that's fun to do. One time, I was explaining cheerleading to a football player who I was explaining stunting, and he said to me, I could easily lift one of you. You're like 125 pounds. And I was like, okay, well, you are 320 pounds. And we all know who this is, because who else is a 320-pound football player in Neshoba? He's explaining this to me. He's like, I can lift one of you. I was like, all right, well, can you lift yourself? He's like, no. And I was like, so then why do you think that it's easy for me to lift someone that's the same weight as myself? It's not. And in cheerleading, you have to do it over and over and over again, above your head. And you have to do the stretches that you do on the ground before practice starts. You're doing that in the air, on top of someone. That's pretty difficult. And then you're tumbling. Tumbling's another aspect of cheerleading. I don't know if anyone's ever seen like gymnastics, but them tumbling across the floor, doing back handsprings, front flips, back flips, aerials, all that stuff, we do that in cheerleading too. And then there's the actual cheering part, which isn't so hard, but after doing all the other stuff, you're exhausted. And you still have to scream your cheer with a smile on your face and make it look like you're not dying inside. So running a routine at a competition is very hard. So running a routine at practice over and over and over and over and over again is 10 times harder. And I know, like, basic sports like lacrosse, football, soccer, all the stuff everyone considers sports, you're running. But cheerleading, you're running and lifting and screaming and jumping and all this stuff combined. It's a completely different workout that no one else has ever really experienced. We had a soccer girl join the team this year, and she even said, it's completely different muscles, it's a completely different workout than anything I've ever experienced. Now, if you don't love cheerleading, you absolutely hate it because it takes up your entire life and it hurts. So you don't, like, who wants to do something that you hate if it takes up all your time and it hurts you? That's no fun. So you have to love it if you do it. So that's why when cheerleaders here, cheerleading's not a sport, we literally want to kill someone because we feel so passionately about what we do and we love it. Now to get to the technical stuff. According to Women's Sports Foundation, a sport is considered a physical activity which involves propelling mass through space or overcoming the resistance of mass. Contesting or competing against with an opponent, governed by rules which explicitly defines time, space, and purpose of the contest and the conditions under a winner is declared. And acknowledged primary purpose of the competition is a comparison of the relative skills of the participant. Those are just a lot of fancy words, but pretty much what I think it says is something needs to propel through space. We throw girls in the air. Contesting or competing against other opponents. There are cheerleading competitions where we actually do compete against other cheerleading teams. We have rules on a score sheet that we have to follow, and if we don't, we get penalties. An acknowledgement of the winners, which is the person who wins the competition. So technically, under these rules, cheerleading is considered a sport. And what hurts the most, to be honest, is when you go to a football game every Friday night and you bring spirit and you try to get the crowd pumped up for the game and you try to make everyone so excited and you love the football team and you want everyone to win and you want to make the school so full of spirit. And then you go to your competition and you see all the other schools that have tons and tons of fans from their schools, and there's not one Neshoba fan at a cheerleading competition. And then you go to lunch and you're talking to the other girls on the team about how this went wrong in practice or this went wrong at practice, and the person next to you rolls your eyes. Cheerleading's not a sport. And you're like, excuse me? Do you do what I do? Have you ever tried it? No. So how can you even compare? How can you even say that it's not a sport if you haven't even seen what we really do? You see us cheer at the sidelines on the games. You see us yell cheers. When not one person has ever been to an actual cheerleading competition. So next time you criticize cheerleading or think it's not a sport, just consider how you would feel if something that you felt so passionate about was undermined and you was told it was stupid. Just think about it, because it doesn't feel very good.